everyone. Welcome back to Real Talk with Just for Girlfriends. We've taken a brief hiatus, and when I tell you why, you're going to be like, okay, I get it. We have a big announcement. But before we do all that, let me introduce today's show. We're going to be talking about introverts today. And let's face it, the world is made for extroverts. I don't think anybody would deny that. But some of the most successful people you know are actually introverts. So we're going to be talking today. How does an introvert succeed in an extroverted world? And you may be surprised to find, like I was, that you may be an introvert, if not all the time, at certain times. So for all of our new viewers, I am Michelle Skinner. I am a proud member of Just for Girlfriends, and it's going on almost 5 years now. And it has been a lifesaver. I would tell you that for sure. I love Just for Girlfriends. Love it so much that I begged my best friend to let me be on the board.
You would never have to beg. You are automatically there.
I love it. I am on the board. I also manage Just for Girlfriends social media. So I would love it if you would stop by Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and even Twitter. And we are at Just the number 4 Girlfriends on all of those platforms. If you think you're having a riot here, join us on social media. We keep the party going. And we do have another member, Robin McFarland. She's going to join us a little later. But right now, I'm going to turn it over to Angelique David to tell us more about the organization and her role.
Absolutely. So, good afternoon, everyone. So glad to be back. We absolutely missed you. Can't wait for Michelle to give you our big announcement. But in the meantime, my name is Angelique David. I am the founder and CEO of Just for Girlfriends. Just for Girlfriends' mission is to help women embrace self-care and self-preservation. So, I take a step back. I say, ladies, how many times are you feel like you're the one that's doing everything for everybody?
I need to do this.
Right. And so what Just for Girlfriends does is we help you take off all of those hats and just come and be you and have a good time and embrace self-care. We do that through unique, fun, engaging events. We don't do anything ordinary. We do things, we try to do things that are unique so that you can just not think about anything. And then we also take annual trips. We are soon going to Montana for a very fun luxury dude ranch. We do live events in the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia area, as well as the Chicagoland area. And then we host virtual events monthly. So if you're in DMV, Chicago, want to travel, come hang out with us, please do. Or check us out on, you see our handle scrolling across the bottom. And you know what, ladies, join Just for Girlfriends. You can absolutely join. We try to make sure there's no barrier to membership because I think that all women need this. So you just pay your annual membership fee, and you are part of a mighty sisterhood of women across the country. So that's J for G.
Yep, it is definitely. And men, if you're out there in the audience, this is the perfect birthday gift, Christmas gift, Mother's Day gift. It's the gift that keeps on giving all year long. We have had some husbands tell us, like, oh my gosh, my wife loves this. I have so many points for getting her membership. So check us out. We love that. Okay. I think I should make our announcement before we get into today's topic.
You should. And hey, Felicia, glad you're here.
Yeah, hi, Felicia. Thanks for joining us. Okay, everybody. Let me tell you what has been going on the last several months with Real Talk with Just for Girlfriends. We have so enjoyed being on the BDO platform, and we will continue to do so. But we're going to TV. Yes. We are taking Real Talk for Just for Girlfriends to the airwaves. We will be on CAN TV, which is channel 19 if you live in the Chicago area. But look, we're going to be streaming. Anywhere you are, you can stream us on cantv.org. We'll be there. We premiere next Monday, actually, September 12th. We'll be at 7 p.m. Central, and we'll be every Monday at 7 p.m. after that. So please make sure you tune in. But you know what? We're going to be featuring one of our favorite shows on Black Doctors Facebook Live. So we will still be here on the first Tuesday every month, except you'll be getting one of our favorite shows that we've taped for Can TV. And as an extra benefit, the co hosts are going to be live chatting with you in the comments section. So if you have questions about what's going on the screen or want to know some behind the scenes secrets, we'll be there to give you all the tea. We're not holding back. If you know us, if you've been following us, you know that.
And I will tell you, if you think this is a riot, put 6 cameras in front of us.
You're right. You're so right. But today, let's get into it. Very special Just for Girlfriends member joining us. Jeri Bingham. She's going to be here. Jeri, come on in the room.
Hey,
Hi,
Jerry.
Hey,
hi,
JPG.
Jeri.
Hey,
Oh my God, we are so happy you're with us today.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, Jeri has an interesting story to tell. She's found that introverts are the most misunderstood personality type. And after speaking with her, I think I have to agree. But she's made it her mission, or making, I should say, her mission to change that. She hosts a popular podcast titled Hush Loudly. And you can find that anywhere you get podcasts. So, welcome, Jeri, to Real Talk with Just for Girlfriends.
Thank
Let's
you.
first start with why do you believe most people misunderstand introverts?
Well, there's a stigma that's tied to the word introversion where people automatically think that it's a hermit, somebody that doesn't like people, someone that doesn't leave the house, someone that doesn't speak publicly. And that's just not the truth. Introversion is really about your energy. It's how you gain or drain energy, and it's for introverts and for extroverts. But this stigma started a long time ago, and I'm here to change that. So it's about how we like to receive energy and how we like to gain energy. And what I like to always share, which seems to shock people, is some of the well known introverts who come out and stated publicly that they are, just
Okay,
to give you
who?
an idea of what we're working with. Oprah. Oprah is one who everyone knows who Oprah Winfrey
Really?
is. She is an introvert. She actually, in a conversation with Amy Schumer, the comedian, Amy Schumer told Oprah she was an introvert, and Oprah said, I am too. We have that in common. And
Wow.
so, what she does for work, that's her extroverted side. And so, what the experts have been saying is no one is 100% introverted or 100% extroverted. We turn it on and turn it off as we need to, but we have a preference. And so, our preferences may be the more introverted, the more calm, the low key, the less stimulation side. But for work, just like me, I'm in marketing. For work and for as I'm speaking, as I'm presenting, as I'm talking on my show, just like Oprah, you turn it up for that. But you are definitely more introverted or extroverted. Another one who kind of shocked me was RuPaul. So RuPaul on his
RuPaul?
master class, so he turns it on for his show. That is
That's amazing because
passion.
he is very flamboyant or
That is
outgoing.
his
I mean,
passion, that
yeah.
is his job, that is his role, but he internally, he is introverted and he relates more to that side. Issa Rae, which most people kind of know that she's talked a lot about it publicly.
Mhm.
Shonda Rhimes, who we all know from Grey's Anatomy, all of the shows that she's done, Davis. I'm just naming a few people of color.
Right.
But also, there's Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, all these people who have made
Hmm.
a difference in our lives. Jeff Bezos, Amazon, all of these people, Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep. So, introverts are here. And we are powerful and we are doing things. People say that Barack Obama is an introvert, but I haven't seen him say it publicly yet. He is my goal. I hope to get him on my show one day because
We'll
I
tune
believe
in. Yes.
even that he is and how he's deliberate in his thinking, how he's low key, how he's calm.
Mhm.
He has all the traits that a typical introvert has.
That's
So I'm trying to, as you said, on a mission to change that stigma and help people understand that we are just as smart, just as creative. We are just different in the way that we may portray our energy or the way we may live our lives. Extroverts typically live their lives more out loud. Introverts typically kind of keep things to themselves, except for like a few. So that's
well,
typically
you know,
more.
when you were giving us some examples of introverts, they are very successful. So I think that
Mhm.
might be one way to misunderstand introverts. You think they aren't gonna, I mean, they barely graduate high school. I guess that's what you would probably think. But
What?
like they can't, I mean, they can't even get out the house to go to high school. But I'm like, but that is not true. You know what I mean?
But I love the way you articulate it because it's really that energy, whether you're giving energy from a crowd or whether that's sucking energy. First, before I ask the question, I'm going to say, hey, Kim, that's one of our J for G members in Columbus. Thanks for
And my
tuning in.
yes,
But
thank you.
Jerry, here's the thing. Okay, so you talked about energy. So let me ask you, you mentioned all of these, outwardly. Does an introvert, when they do that, are they drained after? Like after you do that, do you have to go sit down for 5 hours?
Not 5 hours, but yes, typically we're drained. So just like parties and conferences and things like that, I've been doing that for years, and especially conferences at work and presenting, I have to. And so, yes, I may be exhausted, not where I'm going to fall out in the middle of the floor, but it's just draining, to absorb all the energies of others and give of myself. And so, what we need to do is recharge. And that's one of the tips that I give to my introvert brothers and sisters. Take the time to recharge, whether that's 15 minutes in your office by yourself or 15 minutes in your car to focus on something else and clear your head so that you can be fresh and ready for the next thing. So, when we have these back to back meetings like we do in our offices, I try to tell people if you can schedule 15 minutes in between, just take some time for yourself to just get refresh your thoughts and just re-energize, before you move on to the next thing. But that's a typical trait of introverts.
Right.
Hmm.
And that's interesting because just thinking about me, I am probably an extrovert most of the time, but there are times or certain events that I go to that are absolutely draining. And I don't know, I have to do some sort of deep thinking as to what those events do that for me. But I definitely, as I'm listening to you talking, have some introverted times or introversion going on at certain times. And
And
it's
there's another thing that I can maybe help you try to figure out. Is one
Mhm.
thing I love to share is extroverts think while doing. They think on the fly, they make decisions on the fly, they make moves on the fly. Introverts think then do. So we usually deliberate, we debate, we might bring in some data. We're figuring all this stuff in our head, and that's why we make such great teams. Having an introvert and an extrovert on your team, because the extrovert is like, let's go, we're doing this, they're ready to take risks. The introvert is like, hold on, hold up, let's talk about this, let's think about this, let's consider what happened last year, let's do all of this. And so they're a great balance. So that is one thing that we see the differences between introverts and extroverts and how we process things like that.
Now, what about an ambivert?
Well, ambivert is what they typically consumers have said is like the middle. So the
Angela, you
person
dropping those
that's
jewels.
introvert.
Okay, I never heard that one. Okay, let's talk
Yeah,
about it.
but the scientific, the Myers Briggs people, and all of the more scientific experts, they don't use the word ambivert. They say introvert, extrovert, and that we have both. Ambivert is a topic, as a name that came up with some years ago, where people described it as in between. So, but that's what it is. But of course, the experts, like I mentioned, said we all have introverted and extroverted sides. We just turn it on when we want to.
Yeah, it's like a
Hmm.
spectrum, I guess, along the
Yes.
spectrum. Which side do you tend to go? But that's interesting because my husband, he definitely deliberates, and I on the fly, and oh, we annoy each other with that. He's like, slow down. I'm like, what are you waiting on? Like, so it's so funny that, um, that's a personality trait. I guess the more you learn, the more you understand, the better you can interact with those more introverted, personality types that you love. But I want to break this down because as I'm listening to this, it's parents, may have a child that's different them. Let's talk about what parents need to know. First of all, what's the first step in recognizing that one of your children may be more introverted than you are?
Well, I think that you see it, and unfortunately, I think people automatically assume something is wrong. So if they have a child that seems quieter or not as interested in going to parties and not as interested hanging out with 10 people and they just want to hang with one. Unfortunately, they think it's something wrong and they want to push that child because they know what our society expects. But I'm here to tell you, parents, it's okay if your kid is a little quiet. It's okay if your child wants to sit with you in the kitchen and watch you cook, or sit at the garage and watch whatever, getting cars fixed. It's okay if they want to do that because they are learning, they are absorbing from that, and maybe they get more joy out of that than running up and down the street with 10 kids. Me personally, I had both, which was great. I lived on a great block, but I would often be on my porch playing solitaire, playing with my Barbie dolls, playing jacks. I would be reading, and it didn't bother me that the kids were running up and down the street. I would play with them when I wanted to. And so I feel like I had the best of both worlds, and my parents did not push me. I remember that there were times, like with summer camps and stuff like that, that my mother would make me go to. I didn't really like it. I had to go. I mean, we needed to go, and I think she needed me to be there, just hoping that that would help with my socialization. Everywhere I go, I make friends. I have great relationships with people. But what I'm here to say to you, parents, now is don't necessarily get worried. Don't freak out. Look at what they're doing and what they gravitate to and try to nurture that and help expand. So if that kid is always drawing or is into his music, or she's into dance or into something, see how you can create more of that for her, and then just see where she goes. Just follow that along and be supportive. Of course, she will. In school, she's with students, with kids on
Yeah.
the block. Well, I don't know if kids play outside like we used to play. I don't know. And there'll be parties and different things, but don't automatically think it's the worst. Don't automatically think that it's something wrong with that child. They just may be more introvert leaning. That's all. So I just ask that you support that and embrace it and nurture it.
Yeah, I think
Well,
that's great advice, because
yeah.
when you are a parent with a different personality, you have expectations. Or if you have different children, I
Mhm.
know I think I'm more of an ambivert, kind of in the middle, even though I know that's not official term. So I'm kind of in the middle here, but I definitely have more extroverted traits. So I've got my older daughter who is an extrovert. She always wanted play dates, and my younger daughter is real on the introverted spectrum. And I will never forget, she was probably, and she just liked being with us, and she's easy breezy. And I said to her, because with your second kid, you don't do all the stuff you do with your first kid. You be
Not
running
at
around, that's the
all.
first one. So
Yes.
I remember I was like, you know what? I haven't set up any play dates for her. Oh my goodness. And so
Right.
I looked at her, I said, do you want me to set some play dates up? And she said, why? I was like, why? Don't you want to play with some
Right.
kids? She was like, if you think I should be, but I'm actually okay. And it was that moment that I realized I wasn't, because I thought, oh my God, I'm neglecting her. I haven't created these relationships. But I realized she
Right.
was good, like 100% good. In fact, she was looking at me like, why would you invite people to come bother me? Like, I'm
I
Oh,
love
good.
that.
that
I
story.
and I'm learning. I'm learning as we're speaking because my daughter is very introverted, and I'm always asking her, like what I'm thinking that she is going to be behind developmentally because she never wants to do group activities or play dates like you said. She's like, no, unless mommy is going to go and be her play date partner.
Mhm.
She's good, but then she loves theater. You know what I mean?
So
So
so that's her thing. So nurture that. And let me just drop this one thing about dopamine and acetylcholine. So in my research, I've discovered, we all know about dopamine. That's that chemical sort of stimulant in your brain that makes you want the most activity and more adventure and all of that.
okay.
Acetylcholine is the same, except it's the opposite. It's what makes you want the calm, the cool, the chill. And so, where introverts and extroverts differ is extroverts want more of the dopamine because they want what's next. They want the next party. They want the next thing. They want all the play dates because that makes them feel happy. Versus introverts, we like the acetylcholine. That's why you always see me trying to get to the spa, or I'm reading, or I'm going on a trip that's a calm resort like vacation because that's my happy. And
Yeah.
so that is one big difference. And not one is right, not one is wrong. It's just a different. And that's my whole message as I'm speaking to people. Please don't treat us differently because we may not think and do the same things that you want to do. We let you do your stuff, let us do our stuff.
Yeah. And what I will say about the kids, even I experienced with my daughter, is she eventually has come into it. So now she has a group of friends and she'll want to hang out with them, or
A
she has like
select
one or
few.
two
Yeah,
really good friends that she wants to hang out with all the time. And she's
we do
always
that.
on the phone and
We
she's
do
very
that.
social, but
Yeah,
she's not going to be one that's going to want to go to a party of 15 people. That's
that's exactly it. So we do have friends, we do love people, but we usually have a select few that we connect with and we love their energy and love the balance. And so when I talk about me and my friends, which is so interesting because most of my friends are extroverts, like they'd rather go to a party, a dinner party with 20. I'd rather go to a dinner party with just with to dinner with just one or two because we have this deep conversation and
Mm.
we have talk discussions on stuff that matter, and so that is the difference. We do have friends, we do love people, but we just usually stick to our crew, our little
yeah.
tribe. And maybe just like my friends I've had for 35 years. I mean, and they're extroverts, but they're part of my tribe. And that's who I want to hang with versus being going to a party with 200 people or going to a dinner party with 20. So that makes sense about your daughter, Angelique.
So
Yeah.
Irene Nelson is relating to you. You see her? She said, "That is me."
Hey, Irene. Okay. Hey, introvert girl.
Right. I'm sure there a lot of people are relating to what you're saying, and that's interesting. I know that Angelique and I, we love to hang out together, but then we're plotting what we're doing next. Like we're going to get some of that dopamine.
Right.
So funny, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I say I like the fact that you really point out that you can be a bit of both, because there are times
Mhm.
that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to go to the party. I'm ready to work the crowd. And then there are other times where I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna zap all my energy. I can't do that. I
Yeah.
just need two people. No, 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 I can't do
That's
that.
absolutely right. Right.
So I like the fact that there's a continuum, and it's you don't really have to be pigeonholed in one way or the other.
Right.
Right. And it's funny. This month is probably one of my busiest months with reunions and work events. I mean, almost nearly every day this month. So when I'm gonna look back next month and see, am I fired up? Let's see what happens. It's gonna
You
be
know, it's one of the things that we've done in J4G to make sure that we are really trying to create the perfect, balance for extroverts and introverts, because we are a mighty, we are a mighty crew, is that we do things that are smaller.
Yeah.
So we have events that are just for, a
yeah.
smaller group. And then we also have large events so that everyone feels comfortable. And then we also do virtual things so that people who feel even more comfortable behind a computer, they can do that as well. So we really try to make sure that we are providing a variety of experiences where people can connect one on one and not always feel like they're in a crowd, because we did realize that that could be daunting for some people.
I had to
Yes.
chuckle. I'm sorry at Kenneth Wilson. People don't get their real talk. They gonna get their real talk the best way they know how. I love it.
Okay, Kenneth, you better put that down for you get in trouble.
That is so funny. Oh my gosh. So what advice do you have for um, people in the workplace? Because now we've learned that, introverts are everywhere. Introverted people can turn it on for work. And so people may not realize that they're, taking someone's energy based on how they are behaving at work. So are there conversations that people need to have, or um, tips or something that we can pick up on so that we can make our introverted coworkers feel more comfortable?
And
Thank
I
you.
would add to that question is, what do you find people think of introverts? Is introverts in the workplace thought of as mean, or a you know what? Or because you often in the workplace, if you're
Stuck
quiet,
up.
you're not
Right.
helping, you're not being part of the team.
Hmm.
Yes, Michelle asked a big question. So, first, let me start with according to the latest research, 57% of the world is introverted. And the, that number may be startling to you, but it's not to me because I think many are introverted and don't know it. Some are introverted and don't admit it because of the stigma and stereotypes. And then there are a few like me who embrace it, own it, and lean into it. When it comes to the workplace, I don't typically say that I'm an introvert because the world is not in a place of understanding yet. That is something that I'm working on. Now, I have in my current employer, and I just started, I did let them know right up. And maybe that's because I'm leaning more into it, I'm more confident, but I
Mhm.
know my value, I know my worth, I knew I could bring it. And so I did talk about it and shared my podcast, and everyone has really embraced it here. But typically, when I go into a workplace, and I've had this so many times across the years that I know this is accurate. People will tell me later, they'll say, I thought you were so mean. And I'd say, why? And the response is, I don't know. I just thought you were mean. Now,
Irene just said that. Irene
mean,
said she was called stuck up, shy, or mean.
there's not a mean bone in my body. Mean is not a word to describe me, but I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. It's other people's problem. Because I don't come in sharing my life and sharing my world and living my life out loud, it makes other people uncomfortable. And usually it's the majority. Usually they want to come in your office, they want to know where the pictures are, they want to know where you live, what you do, where you are on the weekends, and they want to know everything. And if you aren't forthcoming with all of that, they start to question. They
Right.
start to not trust. They start to wonder, did we make a mistake? She's not what she seems like because we're not talking. Now, it has nothing to do with our work. Nothing at all. It has to do with their version of how we should be socializing in the workplace. And this is unfair. And this is one of the things that I talk to companies about because what they're doing is missing out on some good talent. You know, if half of your workforce is introverted and you don't understand how to relate to us and how to accept us and accept our diverse ways, then you're missing out. That's affecting your bottom line. If you could create a culture and an environment that embraces and that gives everyone what they need, then that will definitely impact your mission and your revenue and everything that you're doing. There are some things that I suggest to companies they do, like just be cautious, be aware, be open to the fact that all of us are different. The way we communicate, the way we respond, the way we come to meetings, and don't hold it against us. So for me, if I come into a meeting, I usually speak, but I probably ask more questions because I'm curious and I'm trying to process and figure things out. So if I'm in a conference in a room with 50 people and people are talking, I'll ask whatever, but I may not be forthcoming with responses right away. And the reason is it's the way my brain works. I'm putting it all together in my head. Now, I may 15 minutes later have all the answers, have a plan, have all of this that I'm ready to discuss with my CEO later or put in an email or express with the team. And I'm finding out this is something else in my research. It has to do with our neural pathways. So the neural pathways in the brain for an introvert are longer, according to Dr. Marty Olson Laney, who wrote this book called The Introvert Advantage. And she said they're longer, and we include our feelings, long term memory, short term memory. So if you ask me a question, depending on what it is, I may not answer you right away because it's cooking in my brain. I'm pulling in, like, well, what happened when we did this last time? And all of this stuff. And I'm deliberating and all of this before I come up with an answer. Versus extroverts who have shorter pathways. And so it travels quicker and they may come up with an answer quicker. It doesn't mean their answer is correct. It doesn't mean it has any substance behind it. It just means that they were the first to shout it out. And so I talk to companies about being aware of that and understanding what you're dealing with and offering different ways for your introverts to communicate. So for those who are in the room and may not say anything, they may have the bomb ass answer 2 hours later. So have something where there's a whiteboard somewhere where we can, if the question is asked, anyone can come up for the next 24 hours and write it out. Or
Mm.
anyone can send an email with their thoughts because we like to deliberate and think and bring in data and really put things to paper. And sometimes we just want to write it out because it helps us focus and get it out better. So that's what I
Right.
tell CEOs. Another thing I say is give us a detailed, itemized agenda beforehand. Don't give me an agenda that just says welcome introduction topic. What do you want? What's out? What are you looking for? If you tell me a day in advance, I want to come up with a new color for the brand or something like that. I am going to, the day before, I'm going to do my research, I'm going to have my ideas, then I will be ready to prepare to present all of that in the meeting because you've given me the time to think about it.
Mhm.
So I urge companies to think about that. And no, you don't have to call introverts out because, like I said, everyone doesn't know they're an introvert. And number two, it's still a stigma tied to it. And so there may be some weirdness going on if people say, oh, they're the introverts. That's not cool. It starts chatter that's not necessary. I just ask companies to be open and understand that they have different types of personalities on their teams, and they should learn how to treat them accordingly as equal as possible.
And that is I think that's a shift of perspective for most jobs because what you see valued is people
Yeah.
that think quickly on their feet. We're going to get this done now and we're moving on. So I think that for all of you out there that manage an employees,
Oh,
maybe, hi, Robin,
Hi.
maybe missing out on some great ideas by
Absolutely.
rushing those who think differently. I think
And
that's
it's okay to take the answers of the extroverts. Like, we can't crush their dreams. If the extroverts want to get up and tell and do, let them. But I'm saying just allow a space for your other half to submit in the way that's comfortable for them. We
right.
allow extroverts to do everything that's comfortable for them. Allow that for introverts because we are here and we're here to stay and we're making stuff happen.
I know that's right.
I know that's right.
Behind the scenes and a day late. No, I'm just teasing. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Behind the scenes and a day late, but it's on point. I'll say
I
that.
know exactly. You're right.
Say that, Jeri. Say that, Jeri.
Say it,
Yeah.
Jeri. It looks like Kenneth is a fan. Kenneth doesn't think you're an introvert, Jeri. He thinks you're an extrovert.
People have said that. People have said that because there's the stigma. So they think an introvert is quiet and has no words and is shy and afraid. And I am an introvert, but I am not shy. I'm not afraid. But I am totally an introvert, and I've been tested several times because there are lots of different tests that you can do, and just everything that I've described. I'm totally an introvert, Kenneth. But
But you know how to get your points across, and I mean that's something that we're learning. We're trying
yeah,
to rethink how we think about introverts, and I think everyone will be better off if they learn how to bring out the best in everyone. If
yes,
57% of people are
yes.
introverts, we're missing out, right?
Yes, we
All
just need
right.
a little understanding and education. That's all this world needs.
Okay, Robin. So what are you? You've heard a little bit of this topic. Are you an introvert or an extrovert? I think I know what you are, but what do you think
If
you
I
are?
could, I am definitely an introvert. Um, I have become an, as they call it, an ambivert. Ambivert. Am I saying that right? And that's only because of work.
So you turn
If
it
I
off.
was not, yeah, I learned early on in my career, if I was not speaking up, if I was not
Mm.
being in front of the room, if I was not being overly, to me, it felt overly, but maybe to a natural, somebody who is more natural at that, it didn't, that I was not going to get anywhere sitting back. And processing, because I'm a processor too. I came in on that part, Jeri. So I had to come, had to prepare in advance, always come with 3 questions, all of that stuff. And so people go, and I'm a facilitator by trade, right? So I'm in front of people
Yeah.
constantly, wiped out. Let me just tell you, wiped out at the end of the day. So people were like, "Oh, you're an extrovert," and I was like, "By no means."
But it's funny, Robin, how you said about you come with your 3 questions. And I don't know if you heard me say earlier, that helps me process. So I am asking questions because it helps me put the plan together in my head and come up with whatever I'm going to say. And that is a strategy that introverts need to use, especially those in leadership, because everyone is against us, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, because of that, we have to have strategies. How else are we going to climb? How else are we going to get to where we need to go? And so that is one of the strategies that I will tell people. Ask questions, even if you're not ready to answer, ask questions, and that will help you and that will help with the performance that may be needed at your corporation.
Yeah, I've had leaders say, "I don't hear you enough, Robin. I don't hear you." And I'm one. I don't say a lot of filler things. I say what I need to say, and that's it.
Right.
Exactly.
So I'm not, now
Yeah.
they might, around my people, I talk a lot, right? But
A
maybe
lot.
around, I
Yeah.
talk a lot around those who I'm comfortable with, or my,
Yes.
my tribe, my group. But if
Yes.
I am, if I'm still learning, I only say what I need to say. I take a lot of notes. I process. I want to send email if
Yeah.
you have questions. I probably want to send some emails after and say, hey, I thought about that, and here's what I have some questions about. Can we discuss this later? I'm also better one on one when you talk about work versus in a conference. In a conference, I'm going to sit in a corner, right? Like, I am not going to talk to everybody. That's just not my thing.
Right.
But yeah, I learned all that from work, and I just, you just were pushed into it, and nobody said anything about your introvert, extrovert, that sort of
Right.
thing. I just learned just by observance that if I wasn't saying stuff, I was going to get promoted. I was going to get picked for meetings. Wasn't going to get picked for projects. So I had to be.
So I've got a funny story about Robin. I got to
Oh
tell
my
this because
gosh.
this was perfect for this conversation. So Robin, another friend of ours, and myself went to a networking event. Robin is an introvert. The other friend is a clear extrovert, and I'm kind of in the middle. And so we went to a networking event. The extrovert, she was ready. She was in there. She was in the circle. She was ready. I was like, I'm kind of tired, but okay, I guess we doing this. So I sat in the circle. Robin sat on the outside of the circle because she was like, I don't even want to do this. This is too much. So we have to go around. The people are talking. Robin texted me, they talking too much. This is too much. So the event is barely over. It's not even over. People are still talking. Robin says, I'm leaving. I'm going to the restaurant. I'll meet you guys. I said, did she just leave us?
Yes, I did.
That is so funny. You were drained. You had about as much as you were gonna take.
It had been the end of the day. I had just started a new job. I was in the office. I was wiped out. Before that, I think I even went to the bathroom for like 30 minutes, right? Like, I was just a mess, right? And so you just want to go. So I have learned also that I have to take my time, otherwise I'm no good. Like, I feel
Yes.
like
Jerry said
I
that.
feel like
Yeah.
I'm messy, right? So I have to take my time, whether that meant at conferences going to my hotel room for 30 minutes and just to take a break or something like that. Otherwise, I just felt that I was even that much more introverted because I was so drained and tired
Yeah.
at that point. But yeah, I did. I walked out. I met them at the restaurant. I got a seat for us, and I was happy
And
to be. All
When I
right,
say
and
at the
you were
restaurant,
interested.
Robin was down the street. She had
I had walked
completely.
several blocks.
Yeah, it was just too much.
But
It
that's
is.
funny how she was still ready to kick it with y'all.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
it
Oh
was
yeah.
like whatever was happening wasn't
Yeah.
meaningful to her. It
Yeah.
was something, it was probably just a lot of chatter and chit chat, and a lot of people just talking. And we don't like that. We like conversations with meaning and depth and all of that. So she got the energy she needed and was ready to go with y'all. So
Right.
again, this is the same thing I'm talking about. And one thing I'll just add, Robin, if you don't know this, is protein is helpful with if you on your little break, if you can have some almonds
Okay.
or a little turkey jerky or yogurt or something, I've found that that is helpful as you are sitting for your 15 or 30 minutes to recharge, and you'll be fresh as new when you go
Oh,
back to meet
Thank
someone.
you for that. Thank you for
that's good
that.
to know.
That's
Right.
Yeah.
good to know. Cynthia says she'd be with you. She says she understands you. She'd be down the street with you.
All
Right.
right,
Yep.
Cynthia.
Yep.
Good,
Who gonna
good.
get there first? Cynthia or Robin?
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I think I'm one of the ones that's gonna chit chat after the event most times. Now there are certain events where I can't wait, and I think you made a good point is the value that you see in the group. But I know, like, if it's a fun event, a party, I mean, there are people that won't go out with me to this day because they be like, Michelle closing stuff down. She stay way too long. They refuse to go out with me now, like, after years. So it's funny that you say that. But I am learning so much. I am definitely approach certain relationships differently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did
After
you guys talk about kids and introversion?
We
Did you
did.
talk about
Yeah.
that? Okay, I missed that. Sorry. Okay.
So
right.
one of the questions I have, Jerry, is what about a marriage? An introvert versus an extroverted marriage. How does that work? And what tips can you give our audience as to how they can make that work? Because I hear, and you tell me, that often these opposites attract.
Yes, that is what I know. pretty much all of my extroverted friends are married to introverts. There is a balance that we have there. And even for me, guys I've dated, they always tend to be extroverts. It's,
Like,
I like to listen. He likes to talk. We just get along. He may be like, "Let's go 10," and I'm like, "Let's go 2." It just seems to work well with romantic relationships, but also with personal relationships and friendships. Like I mentioned, I'm surrounded by extroverts. I do have two close friends who are introverts, but most of the people surrounded by who surround me are extroverts. And we hang it, we kick it until I'm ready to go home, and they keep on going, and that's
Mhm.
fine. And what I love is that they accept that of
Yeah.
me. They
right.
know this is me. They don't judge me. They don't act resentful. They don't talk about me. They're like, "All right, Jerry, we'll see you tomorrow." And that's the way you should be. And I hope
Yes.
you can be the same way with your husband, with your partner, that just understand, like Michelle, you mentioned your husband and he's processing and this and that. That's
Definitely
okay. It
introverted.
might get on your nerves, but that's his
I'm
process.
gonna be a
That's
lot more understanding now because I
I,
have left him many a times. Like I got to go, he like I can't do it, and
and
I'm
people
thinking
may
it's
may
so
think
weird.
people may think that it's something like a rejection, because I've heard that too.
Mhm.
Like,
Mm.
so there's a lady who I met recently who said she now understands her husband. Like, she may come in on Saturday and be like, "Babe, what you want to do? Let's go to this and this." And she said he'll sit there for a minute.
I
And
need to
so she
pause for a
she
minute and get with Kenneth Wilson.
You saw that. You
Ooh.
saw that. You saw that.
Okay, carry on, Jerry. Sorry.
And so she said he won't respond right away. And she takes it like he doesn't want to hang out with me today. And I said, "Don't do that. Give him a minute. Why don't you on Friday say, 'Look, this is what I want to do tomorrow. Let me know if you want to do anything with me.'" And she says she tried it and it works and she loves it. So it's the same thing as the job. Give me the agenda the day before. Now, this doesn't happen with everything. Stuff happens on the fly. Something may happen and we need to run somewhere and do that. That's fine. But I'm just saying, in this way, if you can just sort of present things like that in advance and give your introvert love a minute to think about it, then I think that it would just really be, I think it's just really powerful for friendships and romantic relationships.
That's funny. And my strategy has been, you need to tell me right now because if you think long, the answer's gonna be no.
you wait a minute. I was gonna say I've known Michelle and her husband since before they were married,
Yeah,
and Michelle's not always patient with this introversion. But what I love
but
about you
I'm
guys,
learning.
but
Yeah,
no, what I love about you guys from day one is that you understand each other. So he will say, "You go ahead and go to the club. I'm not going," and you say, "Okay, bye."
And
That's
he's
good.
okay with it.
But
And he's
he's
okay
okay with
he's
with
that.
And
okay,
if,
and I
and is
am
she
too.
okay with it? If
I
he's
am
okay with
okay
it
with
and,
it.
and
Yeah,
you're okay with it, then y'all are straight.
it. Yeah,
Yep.
work it
right,
And
out.
both of you have learned how to figure that out.
right. It's so funny, and it's
So it's about
anything like
understanding.
kids have school things, and they have stuff with the parents. And be like, I am not going to that, and I'm like, man, that sounds like a fun time. So the only time it becomes an issue is if everybody think it sounds horrible and then I can't go. Then I'm a pout a little bit. I don't know, just a teeny bit. I'm a pout, but if it's something somewhere that other people are going to be, I see you when I get back. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's that definitely is Michelle, because I know, like I said, I'm in between the two, and there are times that I'll be like, Michelle went 5 places this week. I can't do all. That's too
That's
much.
true.
What's she doing?
Yeah.
That is so true.
Michelle's got energy though. Michelle's got a lot of you
I
got a
think
lot
I
of
get
energy.
energy from this. What I'm
You do.
learning.
I think that's what it is,
Well, that
right?
is one thing that I don't think I mentioned is, so introverts, we get our energy from within. So we internalize, we're in our heads. And so when we're in solitude, and when Robin was by herself, she was within and, less stimulation, and that was helping her recharge. Extroverts get their energy from external stimulation, and external stimulation, people, events, activities, all of that. So
Too.
they
I'm like, oh
get
my
it
God, it's a lot
and
of
they
energy
want
in here.
more of it.
Yeah.
And they want more of it and they don't get tired of it. And so that is a big difference on the external stimulation for extroverts and internal stimulation for introverts.
Right.
Wow.
I like I said, I'm glad there are going to be things I do differently with my daughter and my husband because of this kind. Oh yeah, I really appreciate that, and it's I think that what we've learned, and Angelique, I guess because you're in the middle, you picked up on that of how you spoke about this earlier, how we've tailored just the girlfriends, so that we're not draining our
Yeah.
more introverted personality types, and I love that. And remember, you were saying something, I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna do that, but I mean,
If
it's
it's small
for
things,
somebody.
Michelle be like, I don't know about that. But the bigger, the pow,
Can't
the
wait.
more
I'm
she's
marking
like,
off
oh,
the
I can't wait.
calendar,
I'm
like.
there.
She ready. She ready.
Right.
She ready.
Yeah, so I love it. I love that. Yeah, like you said, the world is big enough for everyone, and then the more you learn about how to relate to people different than you, and I guess building on people have been talking about for the last couple of years about having diverse workplaces. I don't
Yes.
know if personality type of diversity has ever been brought up or analyzed, but I'm definitely going to bring it up um,
Yes.
in our mentoring
Please do.
work.
Yeah.
Please do. That's what I talk about when I'm talking to universities and companies. It's like everybody's screaming about DEI. Well, diversity includes personality type, and so does inclusion. So, if
Yes.
you really want to be inclusive, let's create environments and cultures that are inclusive of all personality types, where everyone is equitable, everyone is given what they needed, everyone is given the opportunity to present, to communicate in the way that's most comfortable for them. So
Yeah,
everybody's saying it, but everybody's not doing it. So please, yes, go to your companies and say DEI includes introversion.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I don't think that people are being intentional about trying to,
I would agree.
yeah, they just
Yeah.
don't know. The more you
It's
know,
just what it
better.
is. Like I said, it goes back to the stigma. There's a misunderstanding. People think that introverts are hermits that don't leave the house, and that's not true. And so, because they have that stereotype and stigma, they don't think about us or they want us to be like them instead of trying to understand
Mm,
we are similar. We're just different. We have what it takes. That's what I mean. We got the brains, we got the creativity, we got everything. The way we just do things might be a little different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that we really got to see how this was affected in COVID because
Mm.
extroverts were
ooh,
dying to
oh my
get
Yeah,
back
God.
to the house, and
yeah.
It was rough.
introverts were like, "I'm
We're
good."
We
thriving.
had a great time in the
We were
house.
thriving. It's like me and my introvert friends,
Yeah.
including people Darius and Christina Steed and Darius Hillman. We talked about how we were on 10 because we could create the environment that we wanted within our homes. When
Mhm.
you're in the office, there are all kinds of distractions. There's phones ringing. There's all this stuff happening, people coming in, and it takes you away from what you want to complete all of your work. But when we were at home sheltering in place, you created the day that you wanted. You created
Yes.
the amount of lights you wanted, the air, the windows open, the temperature, all of that stimulation. What sounds you want. You want the TV on, you want the radio on. If you want to step outside, all of that was at your disposal to choose the environment, the culture that was soothing to your soul. And so we were very productive. We all talked about how we just were kick ass. We just, everything got done.
Yeah.
Versus my extrovert friends were losing it. Like one kept coming over my house. I said, if you don't stop coming over my house and bringing COVID, and she joked about it because she lives in a house with a bunch of men, her husband and two boys. And she was like, I got to get out the house. So
Yeah.
she would come over and she's a designer. So she doesn't have a traditional 9 to 5. So she would come over. She was in my bubble and I would allow her to come when I had my time outside of work because
Yeah.
she needed that. She needed other people. She needed other energy surrounding her. So I was able to help her in that respect. But we were thriving. Introverts were thriving.
Yeah,
It's so funny thinking about it because when they said it was going to be 2 weeks, I was very excited. I was like, I could use a 2 week break. Oh my gosh, by week 5, I was like, who knows of a therapist? I need a therapist I can talk to because I'm also a hypochondriac, so I couldn't go out. I mean, so I'm like, I can't go out, I'm gonna die. But if I stay in, I'm gonna die.
I
So
came to Michelle's door and she stuck her hand out and I dropped off what I needed and I ran back to the car. I got a question about the assessments, right? So, what assessments do you use? So, I do DISC quite a bit for work, but what
and
other assess? And that.
before you answer that,
Oh,
Kenneth.
I'm sorry. Go
No, I
ahead.
just want to respond to Kenneth. Kenneth, we love to meet your daughter-in-law. As Michelle stated at the beginning, you should surprise her with a J for G membership because it's all about self-care for women. So That's an idea. www.justforgirlfriends.com. So thank you, Kenneth, and thank you for definitely watching today. But go ahead. And you
Yeah.
somebody's watching from
From New
New
Jersey.
Jersey.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I
right.
was
Um,
just asking about assessments. I do DISC for work, and they talk a bit about processing. They don't say introversion, extroversion, but it talks about some of those techniques. What
yeah,
about their
it's
assessments? I think you mentioned before.
Yeah, it's similar. Myers Briggs, I think, is kind of like seen as the gold standard, and they are the personality inventory experts, and they often come into companies and facilitate where you answer like 140 questions, and it's just two answers, two responses, and from that you are put into introvert, extrovert, and then other categories if you're feeling, sensing, judging, all of these things, and so that is probably the biggest
The
one.
biggest one.
Neo-Pi R is one that I discovered in my research, and I forgot what it
Okay.
stands for. It's like neuroticism, extroversion, openness, something, but it is supposed to be the most scientific. And I
Okay.
actually took one of those with a psychologist, a clinical psychologist who gave me that. And it was a scale of like, say, 100 to 200, and
Okay.
said like the middle was, in between. And I was like in the 90s. So he told me that I am an introvert, but I was definitely closer on the extrovert side. And that is
Okay.
supposed to be the most scientific one, but that's not one that's common. That
Gotcha. Yeah, I've never
considered.
heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay.
all of those pretty much come up with the same information about the bottom line is it's supposed to help you with your strengths. It's
Yeah.
supposed to help you understand, like, so we introverts, we are the best listeners. We are observant. We understand everything that's happening in the room because we're looking at body language, social cues, and I have used that to my advantage. I will be in a room and I'm watching everything that's happening. And then when I meet with the CEO later who says, I think that went well. And I'll be like, no, it didn't. Because I was looking at this and these people talking, and you don't know about this because I am absorbing all this energy and I am relating it to different pieces and different strategies. And so, introverts who are listening, those are your superpowers, that listening and observation. While other people are talking, let them talk. Let your brain do what it needs to do. You collect all that data and then you present it to the person that needs to see it later. And so those types of assessments are good at helping you understand your strengths. Nobody has weaknesses. We're not going to say that. We all focus on our strengths and we fine tune our strengths. So that's what I think those assessments are great for, especially in the workplace.
And hey, Rhonda. Rhonda is a J4G member in DMV. So glad you are
Hi,
here.
hi,
Hey,
Rhonda.
Rhonda.
Thanks for tuning in. It's so funny that you mentioned that because as I'm listening, it's opening my eyes to a lot of situations because my husband and I, we rely on each other for those differences. He is observant everything. He was like, "You're not even paying attention." I was like, "Baby, that's what you're here for." I am flitting, flatting, and he's like watching, and so that is perfect. You know what I mean? So
It's
Movement
funny
play.
that you say that, Michelle, because Michelle is one that will not notice the
I
room.
know I do
So
not.
there have been many a times that I'll be like, I think you offended her. And she'll be like, I did. I didn't mean to.
Yes, you did.
That
Yes,
has
you
happened a
did.
lot. I'm like, no, I didn't. I don't even remember talking to her.
I can see that. I
That
can
has
see
happened.
that.
I'm like, I don't think it was me because I didn't talk to her. You be like, yeah. I'm like, oh my goodness,
I
and
be
I
like,
totally will not know. It
Yeah.
will not
but I
know
think that
anything
comes
about it.
from, your extroverted personality. You're
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
moving. You're just
Yeah.
Yes,
moving. And
and
that
not
just
registering. Yeah,
Not looking to offend, right? Just
not at
doing
all.
just
no,
doing your thing. Just doing your
Not at
I
thing.
all.
Yeah.
genuinely feel bad about it because I'm like, did I? No, I don't think it was me. Yeah, I've done that. I think they got me mixed up. But
And that's
my
the
friends
balance
told me
thing.
like it was
Yeah.
you.
That's the balance thing that I talked about. So you and your husband, you rely on him for that and he relies on you for things. And also as you're building your teams in the workplace, it's
Mm,
great to have both. That's why you have to
Yes.
give introverts and extroverts what they need so they can both thrive and give you what they need to give you on your teams.
right, and match made in
Yes.
heaven. I
Yep.
never realized that. That is awesome. Well, Jerry, oh my God, thank you so much for coming here. I'm sure um, people have learned something different. Like you said, you're trying to redefine introverts. I think we did that. We made our mission here. I
Yeah.
so appreciate that.
Yes.
So I don't know if whoever is watching, if you were here at the beginning, but we made a huge announcement. We have so enjoyed, spending the first Tuesday every month here with you on Video Live. But Real Talk with Just for Girlfriends is going to the airways. We're going to be on TV, you all.
Yes.
Yes, we premiere Monday, September 12th at 7 p.m. If you're in Chicago, you can catch us on CAN TV 19. Anywhere else, you can stream live on cantv.org. Please, please check us out. And we're not leaving this platform. We're going to be here every month. What you will probably be seeing most times is a airing of one of our favorite shows that we've taped for CAN TV. But the co-hosts are going to be chatting with you live in the comments. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We are looking forward to that. And Jeri, before we go, what do you have going on? How can people connect with you? I know we talked about Hush
Yes.
Loudly, which you can get on anywhere you can get podcasts. But are you on social media, or is there anywhere else people can connect with you?
Yes, I'd love for people to check out my podcast because they're interviews with people that are educational therapists, all kinds of people that have good information to help introverts and extroverts. So it's hushloudly.com. Also on social media, on Instagram, everywhere, I'm Hush Loudly, except for Facebook. Facebook is Introverts Hush Loudly. So please check me out and follow me. And also for CAN TV, I will be joining that network as well. I don't have a weekly show like J for G. Props to you. I have a wraparound podcast, so it'll be my visual podcast. And so I'll be in the studio a couple times a month, and I'll be on Tuesdays at 7:30 after For the Culture, which is one of the
Awesome.
That
Awesome.
is
Wonderful.
awesome. We definitely will be tuning in. Oh my gosh. Well, this was a great show. So I hope we've helped introverts embrace what is special about their personality type. And for those who are more extroverted, I hope we've given you some tips on how you can love the introverts in your life
Thank you.
a little better. Absolutely.
Yes,
Because
thank
we're
you.
pretty great. We're pretty great. So
You
welcome.
all are, both of you. At least the two introverts I know for sure. They are amazing, Jerry and Rob. You
I
really
love
are.
my
I love you
introverted
both. I
friends.
really do. So please, please share this video with those in your networks. Give this video a heart. If you have other questions after we sign off, please put them in the chat because we do visit there. Jerry will also visit the chat and answer some questions you may have. And like I said, Just for Girlfriends, we'll be back next month on the first Tuesday of the month, but it'll be a little different, but it's going to be fun. And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you then.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.